Hey, we all made it
No.
this morning. We all made it, and welcome to Sauna Talk. We thought we'd do a little introduction because the Culture of Bathing event was in January. It was in New York City. It was a whirlwind, and I think I'm speaking for my guests in that there were so many other conversations we wish to have. So we wanted to take a moment to introduce this podcast and introduce three wonderful guests, as well as Adam, the moderator of the presentation. So let's introduce ourselves. We're going to go around the horn, your name, your city, your business name, and how long you've been helping people locate their water bottles and sandals as sauna hosts. So, Annette, let's start with you.
My name's Annette, and I'm the owner founder of Kodawari and Revivery. I'm in Tampa, Florida. We've been running a sauna cold plunge business here for just over 4 years, and I'm excited to be with you all today.
And then out of Tampa and over to upstate New York. Kelly, you're out in the field. Welcome. Tell us about you.
Hi, I'm Kelly. I run Big Cal Spa, which is located in mostly the Hudson Valley, like area 2 hours, 2.5 hours north of New York City. And we operate two mobile saunas, wood-fired saunas in mostly public spaces in the Hudson Valley. And I'm honored to be with all of my friends again.
Thank you. Bonjour, Stephanie. Ça va? Welcome to Sauna Talk.
Thank you. So I'm Stéphanie Aymon. I'm based in Montreal, Canada. I'm the founder of Balnea in Bromont and partner at Bota Bota in Montreal, where I focus specifically on development strategy and experience. And I'm also currently working on a new wellness concept that is smaller than the other ones, more intimate, so very inspiring. So for over 20 years, I've been helping guests finding not only their sandals and water bottles, but also their inner harmony. And through my other company, Bimondo, it's a consulting company. I support other entrepreneurs in preserving their inner peace as we design and their hotels, spa, resorts, and real estate projects. So always keeping wellness, thoughtful design, people, environment, art, and community in the very heart of our vision. Their vision.
Yeah, merci. Thank you. Adam.
So, hi, everyone. My name's Adam Bamba Tanaka. I'm the COO of Therma Group US. I guess in the conversation you're about to hear, we didn't talk about Therma that much. I can give a little bit of context, which is, I'm helping to launch a European concept that is well established in Germany and Romania. We operate two of the largest spas in the world there, Therma Bucharest and Therma Erding. So these are, facilities the size of the ancient Roman baths, 400 to 600,000 square feet. On a busy day, we could have up to 12,000 people. And it's really an all ages attraction concept that, it's like a stadium-sized spa attraction, but really one where wellness and fun kind of go hand in hand. For the past 4 years, I've been helping to launch this concept on this side of the ocean. I'm based in New York City, but we just in the past month, so since the conversation was recorded in January, announced our first two locations in the US, which I'm incredibly excited about. One site is in Washington, D.C., along the Anacostia River, where we'd have incredible views of the capital. And another site is in Dallas, Texas, soon to be the third largest city in the US, where on one side you'd be looking out at the river, and on the other side you'd be looking out at the Dallas skyline. So we're just at the beginning of the ride here, but really, really excited to bring large-scale wellness to this country.
Thank you.
Should I comment a bit on the panel?
Yeah, and I was going to ask you about that. So the Culture of Bathing event was in January, and it was really the backbone, or Therme Group was really the reason or the ability for us to gather. So there was a lot of behind the scenes stuff that was done, with your team, Adam. And let's just speak specifically about what people are going to be listening to right after this introduction. How did you go about choosing the panelists for the roundtable discussion?
Well, I really wanted to showcase the incredible range of projects and concepts that are emerging in this space, small scale, mid scale, and large scale. And more than that, how entrepreneurs are infusing this kind of hot, cold concept with their own unique personality point of view and local context. And what I really love about Annette, Stephanie, and Kelly's projects is just how embedded they are in their local context. I mean, quite literally, Bota Bota and Big Tal are like part of the landscape. And, you know, there's this whole rhetoric about how people are just copy pasting European concepts into the US or into North America. And I think that's nonsense. There's a real homegrown, authentic sauna and wellness culture that's emerging. And I think that, you know, the three people on this panel are really leaders in that space. And I would say selfishly that our timescales are very long. Our project's not going to be open for 4 to 5 years at least. So I live vicariously through all the exciting stuff that you know, the panelists are doing.
Thank you. And Adam, had you met any of the three panelists, Annette, Kelly, or Stephanie, before January when we all gathered in New York?
Had met Kelly and Stephanie in person, which was great, and was lucky enough to even sit on the sauna bench in their projects, which was awesome. Annette, I had, you know, the pleasure of meeting on Zoom a few times, but I'm going to make it down to Tampa as soon as I possibly can.
Better.
Fantastic. And Annette, so a question for each of you, but we'll start with you, Annette. Were you nervous sitting on stage with your fellow brethren in the community? And how did the discussion go from your side on a personal level?
She didn't look nervous at all, I must say.
However, I was. So I value that I didn't show it too plainly. I definitely felt like I was being given the gift to stand among giants, doing the things that were really of value in different ways from myself. And so I had great respect for Stephanie's scale. That's a scale that is impressive to basically pull off. And equally, Kelly is making such great strides in creating safe spaces and being so mindful about it. And if both these things, and I'm kind of in the middle, I feel as though, you know, it's a collective effort to bring not just access to sauna and cold plunge to the world, but the range and the way, so that truly everybody gets access to this incredible tool that's optimizing and creating a level of health and wellness, because health is one thing, wellness is another thing in my mind. It was a little nerve-wracking because I was like, man, these chicks on either side of me are really doing the work. And one of the great gifts that came out of it for me personally was the acknowledgement that while I'm isolated in the south of, you know, I'm in Central Florida, there's as yet not a full bathing culture in Florida itself. I'm kind of driving some of the bus on that. And yet to know that I have, there's a constellation of bright lights doing the right work elsewhere that I'm associated with was a huge gift.
That's awesome. Great. Thank you. Kelly, over to you. Were you nervous? And did the panel discussion go how you expected?
I think I wasn't nervous. I don't think I knew what I was walking into necessarily. Like Adam emailed me out of the blue and then came to my sauna. I got to meet his partner and we were eating soup together. And, you know, I go to New York City kind of regularly. I think I was excited to meet the people behind some of these larger scale businesses that I've gone to since my 20s and be around those people, knowing that it wasn't exactly what my business is doing in terms of scale, and having so much like kind of like awe of being around something like that. And I was so happy that, you know, kind of what Adam was saying, just the difference of experience and location. And, you know, I think I've only talked to a few women in my business. So I think it was just great to be on stage with other people, because I mostly talked to some of my fellow like sauna sirens, and at the bathing culture in the US, like Adam's saying, it's there. For some reason, it can be hard, or you can feel alienated or alone in those moments. So to be with everyone, especially just because sometimes I am working so hard, head to the ground, that I forget. It's like, it was nice to take a break and just take in all the activity around me.
Beautiful. Yeah. Stephanie, and for you?
Well, I always feel that little spark of excitement before speaking, even after many conferences. But the experience of a culture of bathing was wonderful and so much fun. We really felt like a family right from the beginning, and meeting all these people from around the world. Even though I've been in the business for 20 years, there's not many conferences that reunite so many passionate people around this topic. So what I enjoyed most was the authenticity and the complementary nature of our conversations. Even with different scales of project, our ultimate goal remains the same: creating intimacy, authenticity, qualities that Kelly and Annette beautifully embody in their projects and in their person. So I thought it was generally inspiring to see our visions aligned, and meeting all these newcomers, so with different visions and different ideas. So it was very refreshing.
Beautiful. Thank you. Adam, you had your questions and topics well in advance and well organized. Is there something that you thought we could have gone a little bit deeper with as you interviewed the three panelists?
Well, the way I framed the panel, this idea of kind of what did you think was going to happen and then what ended up happening. And I guess, I'm always interested in history. I'm kind of a history nerd. So I would have loved to spend more time just going back into the origins of these concepts. And, Stephanie had told me some stories about how the boat was acquired and the history of that boat. All of that sort of stuff just is so fun. And I feel like the storytelling aspect of this is such a big piece of also, you become part of the narrative when you visit these places. And I know Kelly has just launched a cool little zine that is also helping to create, I think, maybe more of a sense of a culture around this. And, ultimately the reason we called the culture of bathing as opposed to, this conference was that I think that storytelling piece and capturing people's imagination is going to be a big part of what will drive the growth of this industry.
That's fabulous. Let's stay on that. And I'm going to ask you three ladies, and again, just 1 or 2 sentence answer here is, it is interesting to look back on history and the anthropological origins of a simple question. Where and when did you catch the sauna bug or the thermic bathing bug? Annette?
2002. It was my first introduction was my massage therapy training. We started with hydrotherapy, and contrast therapy was very much part of that. And so water, heat, fire, contrast, it literally was something that I immediately knew I would do for the rest of my life.
Cool.
Because
so that was 2002, and was that in Atlanta, or was that in Tampa, 2002? Or where was it?
Gainesville, Florida.
Okay. And then Kelly, how about you? Where were you and when did you catch the bug?
2009, after my mom died, who had wanted me to go to Korean spas with her, but I said no because I didn't want to because I was a surly teen. I was in college and I started swimming laps and sitting in the sauna at my college sauna, which was not a good sauna, but.
And where was that?
Oberlin, Ohio.
Cool. Stephanie?
It was in the other century. So in the 80s, yeah, probably in the 80s, late 80s, I was about 10 years old, and my father knew a guy that had a sauna that he was renting for $5 beside our ski chalet, and there was a very cold river. It was winter.
Beautiful.
So I think it was free at the beginning, but there was too many people going, too many friends, that eventually it became people had to pay, I think, $5 or $10. So that was my baptism in the water there in the sauna. So it always been part of my life and the heart of our family. My father built the first sauna on we had a summer chalet on an island when I was maybe a year after. So it was always part of our family ritual, and we still go.
Thank you. Was that in Quebec?
Yes, that was in Quebec.
Yeah. Adam, putting you on the spot. You've traveled around the world and stuff. When did you first catch the bug and where were you?
Well, probably it would have been in 2011 when I was lucky enough to spend a year living in Japan. And, I may not look or sound very Japanese, but actually I have some family in Japan. My grandfather is Japanese, who is really, my only living grandparent and someone I'm very close with. Actually, when I joined Therma, he was the only member of my family who understood what I was doing. Everyone else thought I was completely crazy. But when I was living in Japan, I just got completely hooked to onsen culture. Traveled to visit all sorts of different hot springs, even visited the bathhouse that inspired Spirited Away, which is my favorite movie of all time. So definitely that the beginning, but never imagined that there would be a way to, turn this into my day job or to bring this back across the oceans. So it's really exciting.
You. Yeah. Well, before we turn it over to the official presentation, that how many were in the audience, would you guess? Was it 80? I just want to throw a number. Seem about right?
Something like
80?
that.
80 of us were privileged to be in there. This is the only recording from the Culture of Bathing gathering that is being produced as a podcast. Very honored for that position. So those listening are going to get a little bit of a good flavor of the vibe of the event. A question for you, Stephanie. What would you like to ask either of the other two panelists? Either something you talked about over lunch afterwards, or over a cocktail, or maybe on the sauna bench at one of the spas that we attended as the event unfolded. What would you like to ask either of the other two panelists that maybe you didn't get a chance to, or you'd like others to hear that impressed you of either of the panelists?
Well, I was so impressed by both. So maybe Kelly, I was fascinated by your community focus approach. How do you maintain that genuine closeness and authenticity with your guests as your project grows and evolves?
I try to attend a lot of community events and go to a lot of community meetings, as well as keep in contact with a lot of the nonprofits that operate in town, which I think helps me stay connected to who might want to have access to the space, or who might want to be in the space, or who hasn't gotten to come see the space, or what might be holding people back. So I try to take my time to either reach out or just show my face and not be I'll be yeah, I'm the sauna lady, and then see how they react and see if they want to come. I always think it's better to figure out why people aren't coming. And then, I try to train my hosts and try to hire also people that are also a lot of farm workers or people who have off-season jobs, so that and try to make them feel the biggest part is about making people feel comfortable. Yeah. So it's not easy. I'm still working on that. But yeah, I try to just figure out who's not coming.
We're not. So yeah, why aren't you coming? Yeah, you should all come. So, and Annette, I was also curious, since starting your wellness business, what's the biggest shift you noticed in how your clients experience or appreciate it? I think there's a shift since a few years. How do you
when we added sauna and cold plunge to the mix, many of my yogis initially sort of drew back, because we literally started to invite in more of the masculine, more men came. And then we've built this beautiful dovetail where we're now at a 50-50-ish of men in the yoga space, men in the sauna space. And that change shifted some of the energy in the building. And it's one of the things that I'm really quite proud of. And we're still building more inclusion as we go, because the word is that, everybody's welcome. And our first step was to blend that, gender identification, who's on where, what. It starts to invite, when there's more equal face representation, it opens the door for all of it. And that change was a welcome one. And it had some bumps to it. A lot of the yogis, more of that 70-30 is where we were working, women to men. And as we equalized it, there was a few moments where they were like, there's a lot of dudes now. And I was like, yeah, awesome. And then
Cool.
we just kept moving.
Yeah. Kelly, would you like to ask either of your fellow participants to the panel? What would you like to ask either of the two?
I guess I wanted to ask Stephanie, after being in the business for 20 years, do you still have a personal sauna or bathing practice that you do daily or weekly, or what's yours?
Almost daily. Yes. Yeah, it's for me it's a way of living, so it's not a job. I felt like I've never been working it from my entire life almost. So and every travel I make is around spas, and I travel a lot, hammams. So this culture of bathing, this year I've been to Bali. So yes, it's really part of who I am, and I do it try to do it almost every day, even I have only a little 15 minutes to take a sauna before I go to bed. It's my boyfriend and I perfect hidden spot. So the kids, most of the time the kids don't come with us, so it's our little net.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
but even at the lake, there's always an excuse to jump into the sauna and then jump into the cold plunge. And I will never get bored of it. And it feels, and I'm almost 50, and I think it's really part of my health and my nature and the vitality and the energy I have. I think a lot of it comes from my practice.
Yeah, thank you. And Adam, thank you for organizing what you did. It was just so remarkable. I'm glad we're able to do this introduction. So be well, Adam. Thank you for being.
And if I must say, Adam, we need to thank you to bring this community together.
Yeah.
I would have loved having this community 20 years ago or even 10 years ago, where I felt a bit lonely in what I was doing. So, and bringing Canada and the US together also in this period feels very good. And so I really want to thank you for.
Oh, of course. Well, trust me, I got so much more out of it. So it was just such an amazing experience, and I'm already getting like the good endorphins just from this conversation. I'm having like a relapse back to what it felt like in January. So you all should keep going. And Glenn, just thank you for spotlighting this, and hope to see you all soon.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, Adam.
Adam.
You know, Stephanie, one of those lines I love is that good heat knows no borders. And, you know, no matter where you travel, when you settle yourself on a sauna bench, there's that universality, that spirituality of that moment. And I think you touched on that, you know, whether you're up in Quebec or in New York City at a public bathhouse, or maybe in upstate Hudson Valley at one of Kelly's saunas, or even down to Tampa. And, you know, staying with that, and that my sister lives in Tampa area, and I go down there quite a bit. What is this all about when it's like 80, 90 degrees and you guys are into this sauna thing? How have you found this in your own climate, this idea of the heat in Tampa?
In all seriousness, as many of you already have, because we did meet in person, I am quite a jokester and generally irrelevant and ready to like call bullshit on pretty much anything just because. And yet I want to make sure my answer is serious. I don't think it matters. I don't think it doesn't even occur to me that there is a barrier to this practice simply because the external environment tends toward being like there's only 3 seasons here in Florida: hot, hotter, and fucking hottest. And that's just crazy heat. Almost like winter is a week long here. And I come from closer to Stephanie, like my family of origin, our space is right on the Canadian border, just south of Montreal. I can be leave leaving the United States and be in Montreal in 45 minutes from where I am
Beautiful
in
job.
the US with my family.
Yeah.
And so to
no-
me, it doesn't matter.
Love it. Love
It
it.
never occurred to me.
Yes, thank you for that, and thank you for this introduction, Kelly. Yes, so great to have you in Hudson Valley joining us down in Tampa. Annette and Stephanie, merci beaucoup up in Montreal, Canada. We're bringing the world together with the universality of this wonderful space. So thanks for being a part. And without further ado, let's listen to this podcast episode presentation, New York City Cultural Bathing in January. Thank you. This show is brought to you by the Sauna Times Public Sauna Map. The Public Sauna Map is free for you to use and click around, and hopefully give us a suggestion as you click around. If you know of a really great public sauna that is not on the map, drop us a line right there on the website. You can share your favorite public sauna and we'll get it added in. Really awesome for me to travel around and use the map to know where to go when I'm ready for some good sauna action. So to get to the public sauna map, just go to saunatimes.com and right up at the top, sauna map. See you at one of these, hopefully down the road.
But just wanted to welcome you to our second session, Building a Bathhouse from Business Plan to Reality. I think my mic is on. And we are just going to get rolling because we really want to make sure we don't run out of time. So welcome, everyone. My name's Adam, and I'm honored to be on stage with Glenn.
Cool, good. So I'm going to introduce Adam, but let's get everybody in. If you can give a shout there. This was great. We all had a little break. You want to go first, and then I'll introduce you, and you introduce the panel? Go ahead.
So Glenn is amazing. He's so humble. He literally wrote me out a handwritten note so that I could have his bio, as if he didn't know that he is a man that needs no introduction, because ever since I got into the sauna space, I've been following Glenn's content and Glenn's thoughts and observations about the movement. Glenn is, of course, the man behind Sauna Times, Sauna Talk, Sauna Days. I think he's written a book, How to Build a Sauna. He's obviously built many saunas, but really, if Mikkel is the godfather of bathing, I think Glenn is the guru of bathing, and just thank you for everything you've been doing. And we're very, very honored today that the next session is actually going to be featured on Glenn's podcast. So please tell us a little bit more about Sauna Talk.
Yeah, right. Echoing the previous presentation, Justin was talking about from humble beginnings, and one of the lines that I love is they used to make fun of us, but now they all want a seat on the sauna bench. And it's quite true. We came from humble beginnings, very modest beginnings. I'm talking about a decade, 2 decades ago, and it's this groundswell is just so exciting because we can be very front forward and proud. Proud of our commitment to this space, and to see it being written about in major publications is. And Mikkel and I talk about all this quite frequently. It's like, can you just imagine what we're doing here? So this is going to be recorded. This event is a part of my podcast, Sauna Talk. This will be recorded, this presentation here, 105th episode, I think, this one. But Adam is going to be the moderator for 3 guests who he'll introduce. But Adam is the Chief Operating Officer for Therme, and that's quite a title.
Therme US, I should
Therme
clarify.
US, yes, this one here in the US. And so it's quite a title, and he's a very modest person, but no stranger to bathing, growing up in Europe and Asia. So this is a full circle for you to be presenting this panel from a business perspective. So that's what we're in for, and Adam will introduce the guests.
Thank you, Glenn.
Cheers,
Thank
man.
you.
Okay.
Okay, let's see if I can get this moving. Great. So when we were thinking about this panel, we had two goals. One was to hold a bit of space in the conference flow to talk about the business of bathing. And I know there was a lot of interest from all of you coming here today to really learn, what have been the successes of others, but I think maybe even more interesting, what have been the challenges, what have been the mistakes, and how can we as a group kind of learn from each other so we're not repeating some of those mistakes. So we're going to be talking through the process of launching a bathhouse business with 3 really seasoned operators, and in each step of that process of launching a business, we're going to talk through what did they think would happen as they were developing their business plan, and then what really happened when they opened their doors. And I think there's going to be some great insights, some great lessons. But the second thing I really wanted to do, which is really something I'm very excited about exploring, is just showcasing the incredible range of concepts and scales that are coming into the space right now. I think Alan and Justin's talk started to give a sense of just the range of experiences that are coming, into the space right now. And I think one of the things I've always found so interesting about, bathing and a bathhouse as a space is actually the ingredients are incredibly simple. It's just a hot space, a cold space, and a space to relax. And that simplicity actually opens up this concept to kind of infinite permutations. I feel like we're just at the beginning of seeing people infuse that simple recipe with so many sort of personal touches, personal inspirations. And what's excited me about, featuring these 3 businesses and these 3 entrepreneurs is how much they've put their own personal passions into these projects. So for this panel, I deliberately invited 3 businesses operating at very different scales in very different markets. So we've got a nomadic mobile sauna business. We have a 6,000 square foot yoga studio / cold plunge sauna studio. And we have a 50,000 square foot bathhouse, most of which is actually not on land. So we will learn more about that in a moment. But the idea here is not about bigger being better or smaller being more beautiful or anything like that. It's really that the bathhouse as a concept is kind of uniquely capable of driving impact at lots of different scales. And I hope that the conversation today will explore that. So without further ado, let's dive in. I would love to invite up my first panelist, Annette Scott. Please join me up here. Annette is founder of Kodawari Studios in Tampa, Florida. Annette brings a uniquely holistic point of view to the space, combining a background in yoga and massage with a deep interest in creating safe and intentional spaces for her visitors, what she calls her biopsychosocial method. This might all sound kind of heavy, but Annette is also freaking hilarious and brings some much-needed levity to an industry that can sometimes be a little self-important. And I would encourage all of you, if you want to get a flavor, to join her hilarious daily gratitude practices on Instagram, which are kind of like a mashup between mantras and stand-up comedy.
Expect the sailor, construction, trucker language to be in the foreground. Don't come looking just for the religious aspect.
Okay, these slides got a little bit out of order, so you got a little bit of a sneak peek of who's to come. But here are some images of Kodawari, Annette's 6,000 square foot wellness studio in South Tampa. She originally opened it in 2016 as a yoga studio, but then during the pandemic, introduced guided sauna and cold plunge experiences as well. And along with Othership, Annette has really been a leader in pioneering this new generation of sauna experiences that combine breathwork, meditation, and guided sharing. And she's got a lot more planned for the future that she will be telling us more about soon. Okay, next I'd like to invite up to the stage Stephanie Imon. Please give Stephanie a big round of applause, and let me see if I can find Stephanie. There we go. Welcome, Stephanie. Stephanie is a leader in the Canadian spa industry. She launched her first business, Balnea Spa, outside of Montreal in 2004, and over the years grew it into one of Canada's most popular destination spas. Stephanie is also a co-founder of Bimondo, a wellness design and strategy company involved in spa projects all over the world. 4 years ago, Stephanie sold Balnea and joined her sisters in running the iconic Bota Bota in Montreal as partner and lead in strategic and experiential development. Have any of you been to Bota Bota?
Oh,
that doesn't surprise me. For those of you who haven't been, it is an incredibly unique place housed in a boat that used to be a floating theater. Plus, it's got amazing views of the skyline. You can see this huge abandoned grain silo. You can see one of my favorite buildings in the world, Habitat 67, in the background there. So it's no surprise that over the years, Boat has grown into one of Quebec's most popular tourist destinations. And last but definitely not least, I want to invite up Kelly Crimmins. Kelly, where are you? Because you've got one of the funniest pictures here. There we go. Kelly is founder of Big Towel Spa in the Hudson Valley. Her professional background is in affordable housing and construction. And what I love about Big Towel is how Kelly's managed to combine these skill sets into building a spa business that is deeply rooted in community. She's also a real bathing nerd. I hope you'll forgive me, but you're in safe company. You should ask her about her hot springs road trip that she did across the country a few years ago, and her hardcore sauna training in the Baltics. Here are some images of Big Towel Spa, which Kelly opened in 2023. It's a mobile sauna business that has residencies in public spaces throughout the Hudson Valley. Currently, the spa is posted up at a public beach in Hudson, New York, and it offers, I think, an amazing winter activation for the space. Community is really at the heart of Big Towel Spa. As I'm sure she's going to tell us, Kelly's experimented with innovative pricing models to enhance access and frequently partners with local businesses for events. When I went last month, she had partnered with a local Asian food pantry to offer congee, which was delicious, and I'm definitely putting it on the sauna recipe book. Thank you all for joining me today. So let's get started. And make sure I find the right slide here. Well, let's just have that one. So let's start with a really, really quick lightning round. Welcome. Tell me in 2 sentences the origin of your business name, Annette.
Kodawari is, when broken down from Japanese, is koda is best, and wari is intention and attention. And so it's a very intentional name for the pursuit of perfection without the neuroticism. Pay attention. That's my lightning round.
I love it. Stephanie.
It's very funny because we found out yesterday that we had common backgrounds. Like this, bota bota means drop by drop in Japanese, and it's also a play with letters boat, bota bota. Balnea comes from, it's an invented name I came up with. So it's close to balneotherapy, which means help by water in French. And my consulting firm is B Mondo. So it's B, it's our inner essence. Mondo is Italian. So it's finding balance for a project, personal project in the world.
Kelly.
Mine's not Japanese, but I've been like big and thick my whole life. So and I have a lot of friends when I live in the city that are genderqueer, trans, and really we couldn't go to saunas together. And so I really wanted to create a name that gave the impression that it was big enough for everyone and you wouldn't get given tiny towels that might make you feel like you don't belong. And so I don't know, just big towel.
That's great. And you sell big towels that are called Big Towels.
I do, yeah.
Okay, so let's rewind to the earliest days of developing your concepts. When you were launching your business, who did you think your customers would be? And how did that influence what you built? And then how did that pan out in reality? Who actually are your customers, and are they any different than what you expected? So Stephanie, you want to kick us off? Tell us about the origins of both of us.
I'll start with the first one, but Balnea will be 20 years now, so it was just at the beginning of like the market, and nothing really much existed back then. And I lived abroad and traveled a lot, so I was just dreaming for a spa but that didn't exist. So I wanted to create something with the spa ritual, but something also really into architecture and design, and it was very difficult to find. So nature, architecture, design, but also bringing some passions together for gastronomic, music, art, yoga. So at the beginning, I think I attracted all my friends, so really mind-alike people. And of course, over the years, going from 20,000 clients annually to 200,000 annually, I think the authenticity of the project is still the same, I think, and it's very important for the perennity of projects. But of course, we have evolved into adapting our offer. So I think the core is there, and then it's more diverse now.
And then in terms of Bota, how is that?
Oh, same. Because in Montreal, well, it was 5 years after, so of course it changed. More tourists. Of course, we get a lot of international visitors, and but I would say the Montreal core is very attached. So, but with more visitors every year, it gets to be more diverse, but we need to stick to our authenticity to have a project that is very from our heart and is very distinctive.
I love it. No. Kelly, how about you?
I definitely didn't expect it to be as booked as it is, which was kind of a shock. Because as I said, I kind of started it more from a place of wanting a place for my friends to go that can't experience the healing benefits that we've all been talking about. And yeah, I've been really shocked about the amount of the range in dates. And it's been cool because I think it's made it so that I have to respond to who's coming into the space, like the space is making itself. And like that's resulted in I've had like senior hours and I've had silent hours and just being able to be more experimental and let the space sort of dictate what it needs to be, which I think I feel passionate about because I am in a public space. I'm not in a private space, so it's more about responding to the environment around you, I guess. But yeah, I really wasn't. I was working too much because I didn't realize it would be so popular. And I mean, I'm not complaining. I'm like, oh, whoa, people are hungry for this and need a place to go.
Well, one of the things that really struck me when I visited last month was just how incredibly local the customer base seemed to be. I was the outsider because everyone was like, what's your favorite dry cleaner? What's your favorite place to get bread? And you were saying, I remember, that you haven't really invested that much in marketing because it feels like that hyper-local base is enough to sustain the vision right now.
Yeah. I mean, I also just haven't had time to go to the hotels and be like, hey, like tell the out-of-towners. But as we've seen post-COVID, also upstate New York is experiencing this huge population boom. My zip code alone, I think, grew over 200% and was the #1 moving place. And so you also do have people that are newer locals, or cityots, as the locals might call them, that have more knowledge, like as you know, like from living in New York or living in more metropolitan areas, and or looking for a sauna experience too.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Annette, I know you introduced the sauna and cold plunge already into an operating business, so tell us a little bit how that market, evolved for you.
I brought in a mobile unit to start with, parked it in our parking lot next to a dumpster where the cold plunges are. So I turned a piece of our parking lot into a revenue profit center, and I did not have a good business plan in place at that time. That's shifted, but I essentially was just seeing who would sit on the bench with me for the length of time that I wanted to be in the sauna. And similar to yourself, it went from 3 sessions a week where we were like, we can do this, to 8 to 10 sessions a day, 6 days a week. We take a half day on Friday. It's a forced half day. And the shift strongly has been yoga studios in general run a 70-30, 70% women to 30% men. That is no longer the case at Kotowari. We now have almost a bit of a sausage fest going on. And I'm deeply grateful for this. I believe that my karma is to be surrounded by beautiful, healthy individuals of all description and shape and size, and we're seeing that. So it shocked me a little bit and it has changed. And I have some whiners who are like, this isn't a yoga studio anymore. And I'm like, no, it's more than that. We're bigger than that. We're more inclusive than that. And it's something I'm actually proud of, that there was no target demographic, and that it shifted, and we respond to the shift to make space for whomever needs it.
Well, I feel like one of the cross-cutting themes already in the conference is how the market here is kind of every human being. So I think that's an
and I must
important
add
theme.
something is the clientele is like getting younger and younger. When I opened 20 years ago, I thought, it's the mom or the older people that will come, but it was the youngest, the 20 years old, that I don't want to spend $200 in a restaurant. They would bring their mom or they bring their aunt. So it's like it's education, but coming from the kids. So it's a blooming market.
Great. Well, let's talk to one of the most important inputs into a business plan or into just a business, the pricing and the revenue model. How did you guys set and structure your pricing? There are so many pricing models for our industry. There's memberships, there's slot-based pricing, pay-as-you-go pricing, all-day pricing, even full-on private rentals. What did you pick and why? Let's stay with Stephanie first.
Well, it's depending on Bota Bota or Balnéa. We have Balnéa is located an hour south of Montreal, so of course people come and spend longer periods of time. So 1 day or half a day. Well, beginning was full day. Now we can't offer it anymore. So half a day, evenings or morning. So we adapted, but the tendency is people come more often, but for a shorter period, especially in Balnéa. In Bota Bota, 90% of our clients pay the 3 hours or less, and sometimes they even run in the stairs just to make sure they don't pay the extra for the 3 hour or more. So and that's fine, and we're even exploring shorter period of time, which is interesting because people come more often, so it's more part of their daily or health habits.
And Annette, how about you? How did you think about pricing for the Kodawari offer?
We do a subscription-based model, so it's a 4X, 8X, or what we call an unlimited, which is 30 visits in a month. And it isn't that I don't pay attention to non-reoccurring. I very clearly am tracking both. And the subscription-based leveled out my cash playing field. It meant that I knew what kind of cash was coming in so that I can continue to budget against the growth that we're seeing with actual fucking money. Non-recurring is important and it's of value, but I am not a fitness tourist person. I am looking for people to keep a practice, make a commitment, and that means I say no to some people. Like we're not, I only recently adopted ClassPass and not for sauna. I said no completely. So if I, however, was in a tourist-based setting, I would change my model. So I'm adaptive to, again, what do I want? What's the environment demand? For us, it was to level that cash playing field. And so it's the 4X, 8X, and 30X.
And I'm curious, as someone who has been running a yoga business for a long time, how did you think about benchmarking or pricing the sauna experience relative to the yoga? Is there a relationship, or do you just think of them as like two different offerings? They shouldn't even necessarily interact.
I do have a blended membership. I have to look at the bench as a limited quantity. Excuse me. The quality is spectacular. Goddamn. I look at the number of seats, so how many asses can get on the seat is radically different than how many people can get on a floor.
Right.
And as a result, I price it very differently, and the result is I have less seats and equal revenue. So just to be transparent, I'm running about $50,000 to $55,000 a month in recurring revenue through both these channels. So that's yoga, of which I have approximately 320-ish rolling memberships, and then I have approximately 180 in the sauna channel. So one, obviously, quick math, I'm not a genius. the sauna generates more money for less seats at a higher ticket dollar value. And we see a predominance of people are either in the 4X or all the way, we call them light roast, medium roast, or dark roast, because I have a little coffee problem. And so we discuss it in those terms, and that's where our pricing, we find the AX is the least taken channel. But I, more often than not, again, analyzing the numbers, I watch 4X jump to dark roast because 4 visits in a month are not enough. And yet I have to have it so that I can illustrate the value and the worth to people.
Thank you. Kelly, how about you? And I want to make sure you also touch on your sort of community pricing model, because I think that's really interesting.
Well, I really just don't believe that leisure should be elite. And I think that it's an old class and honestly race structure that exists in America that really needs to like die soon. So I knew my sauna was gonna be in a public space, so I really did not feel comfortable charging a ton. So I charged $25 for 2 hours for our community or public sessions. And then I have private hours that are only Saturdays and Sundays. Although when I have an event, I open it to the public, and it's $145 for up to 6 people. But then I also, we're living in a time where we see that the world can be kind of unwell around us, and we see mutual aid, we see all this stuff of people like taking care of each other. And so I kind of came up with this idea for what I call the community sweat fund. So when you're going to check out, you can add on, and that money gets put into a fund. And once a month, I have it's like kind of like choose your own adventure on the page, and it's 3 tiers, either free $15 or free $10 and $15 for our public sessions. And I release 4 codes per tier. And you don't have to talk to me. Like, I don't care what's going on. Like, you choose what's going on for you. And then people use that to gain entry to the sauna. And I feel like, especially because of the public space aspect and it being like a park that visitors are just coming to the park anyway. Like, I walk my dog there every day too. So I feel like that helps to alleviate this idea that there's some kind of barrier to entry. And yeah, that's kind of how I thought about it. I also don't personally want to be paid like $1 million from my sauna, for my salary, which I think can be like maybe a radical thing in America, because like our society is ruled by billionaires, in my opinion. But yeah, so I also think that definitely like determines, like, I'm, as you can see from me standing under a tarp, I'm like not necessarily trying to like scale as big as other people, I think. Not that that's bad or good, it's just like where I'm at in my mind.
Great. So I wanted to also talk about other revenue streams, because I think what's interesting about a bathhouse as a business is there are so many other things you can kind of layer into it, whether it's food, whether it's treatments, whether it's events. And at Bota Bota, for instance, there's a whole treatment area, there's a fantastic restaurant, floating on the water. So what's your biggest revenue stream other than admission? And did you plan these at the outset, or have you kind of been experimenting over time, kind of layering in things and seeing how they work? So Stephanie, I know there's a big, additional revenue stream component in both your businesses. So tell us a little bit more about that.
The massages and treatment is the main revenue stream after the thermal experience. Someday, the average is probably 200 massages per day. So it's a bit lots of revenue on this side, and the restaurant is also very interesting, but it's a lot less profitable, because the margins are a lot leaner, but it's essential for the experience. It makes it complete and more gourmet, so it's part of the multi-sensory experience. So. And we also have events, but it's difficult to have private events and close the spa to our clients. So some evening events, we talking about Richard Branson that rented the spa once and some other private events, but mostly it's a bigger scale, so it's difficult to have special events like that.
Bless you.
So that's the baths, the sound, the treatments, and some yoga and some particular events that are the main stream of revenues.
Kelly, how about you? How do you think about the revenue mix?
Well, I mean, I think our events are probably like the one that you came to with the kanji. Although I really haven't, we mostly donate all those funds that we sell the food to because we kind of use it as a generative space to, you know, whatever someone might want to fundraise for. Like right before I came, we had a pelmeni pickle soup event as well, similar to the kanji, and all of that money went to the LA fires because so many people have community members there. But yeah, I think that if I were to keep that money, it would probably be my biggest revenue additionally. And then I have like sold people buy the towels a lot. I think in the future, like I'd love to have more
Swag.
things, more, I guess, yeah, more swag.
Flip-flops. People buy lots of flip-flops.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. But I feel like, you know, I was lucky that I used to work sometimes in restaurants and have a lot of chef friends, and they're always popping up. So sort of just this mentality of like, oh, I want to come cook at the sauna, or I want to like lead my like a dance movement thing outside the sauna, or people would just approach me and I would be like, sure, let's try it. Like, why not? Mm-hmm. And it really has been a great way also to get people to come back. Like I think people who were like, I don't really know what this vibe is. Like they come and they have a great time at the event, they eat soup, and then they're like, oh my God, I'm gonna come back. And that's been really nice to see. And all those people bring their people from different, so like Inoki or Tommy and Shirley, they're from a different area in the Hudson Valley, and so people start to like hear about it, and that's also cool.
Well, I think one of the things that's also unique about your model is the fact that it's in public space.
Right.
So does that restrict sometimes what you can do, or does it actually make it more flexible because you've got all this space around the saunas that you can kind of play with?
I mean, I definitely think for the town, the beach is used by the youth department in the summer for camp, and there's like swimming and the kids are there. In the winter, it just lays dormant, and like there's not that much to do in Hudson, New York. But so I think it does provide a place for people to go in the winter. If they have people visiting, they're like, I don't know what to do. Like my family's always like, what are we gonna do with you? And I'm like, we can go to the sauna or hang out. So I think it does provide like activities for people in kind of like the off season for upstate, which is tourism driven and mostly summer tourism.
And Annette, how about you beyond, I guess, the yoga and the contrast therapy offering? What other revenues are you generating?
At the moment, in all honesty, I'm just trying to get better at the business that I'm already doing. I have attempted poorly to diversify, and I'm recognizing that I just need to get my shit together to do this thing well. Because I believe in what we're doing as a collective, and I'm not just talking about myself and my business, but rather it's been pointed to repeatedly for the right reasons. Getting people across the threshold so that they can experience turning down mental, emotional, and spiritual pain so that they can turn up loving kindness and good decision making. Getting people into executive function where they make discernment about what direction we want to take our karmic offering is probably my mission. And so I'm actually trying to narrow so that I do this thing with exceeding efficacy. Because I'm easily distracted. And I get excited pretty quickly about a random, any fish, oh, parrots, no. So for me, it's a dialing in versus an opening up. Because I also believe, even though I might be close to capacity at this one place, opening a second concept with multiple places for me is where I'm going next, and that's going to require focus.
Yep. I'm really glad you raised this idea of kind of doubling down on the core proposition. It's something actually that Robbie and I talk about a lot. You want to make sure that what you're layering on is actually enhancing the core reason why people are coming, and not becoming a distraction or something that actually is conflicting with the core, bathing proposition.
May I answer this in another layer? So I understand now, as a result of great mentorship, that I have to speak to what we call first order benefits. Hey, this is great for your body. Hey, this is great for your recovery. Hey, this is great for weight loss. Bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. But necessary to capture the attention of the mainstream mind so that I can then discuss in real time, and my people can, and my team can, and the secondary benefits. Please, I have emotion rising over this. Like, it's now that we need to be better human beings with one another. And if I don't get the right volume of people to join me in this change, we might not get to stay on this third rock from the sun. And so there's a real value in saying, at least for me, like, I can't diversify, I have to. And again, it's however it works for y'all, whatever you're truly driven to do. So I need to get the first order benefit out to the world in a way that they say, well, damn, that sounds like something I need. You're right. Come through the door so I can give you the second order benefit, which is that you know people in your community and you give a damn about them. And they're not your usual golf course motherfuckers, right? Like, don't just be your standard douchebag doing the same thing. We have to change, and it's now. And if I don't show people, help people find their way back into their body and hearts, profit doesn't matter.
Yeah. Well, I think what's so unique about all these businesses is, there's the cliche of mission-driven, but I think here the mission really can be put to serve a bigger purpose, and we'll talk about that in a moment. But I wanted to pivot to one topic I'm sure a lot of the people in the room are interested in, which is about costs and controlling costs. So, where did you think your biggest cost would be as you were building, the business out and as you launched it into an operation? Were you right, or have there been some, nasty surprises? Stephanie, why don't you tell us a little bit about that topic?
Well, the biggest surprise was the laundry cost, and it's still a surprise every year. That's amazing. Mm-hmm. And construction costs since COVID has like 30-40% more expensive. Mm-hmm. We're amidst big projects right now, so we have to be very careful. Well, every decision is crucial, so and we want to build our dream, so sometimes we have to make a hard decision, but I guess it's part of the deal, being an entrepreneur and being able to prioritize some things over, or being very creative at finding solutions and not having to take too difficult decisions. So yes, construction is definitely something very difficult. Since
let us understand how that plays out on a boat. I assume the construction cost issues are even more thorny.
Yeah, first we need to find a boat or a structure. And so it's only after taking all the rust out for months that you end up realizing the quality of the structure and the possibility. So even if we have a project going on now, so it's been a year and we have no walls that are built yet because the structure has to be completed. So it's a very complex but that's what makes it unique. Mm-hmm. So, and we can't expand. We can't say, oh, okay, we made a mistake. We'll push it 10 feet further. There is no further, and there is no deeper.
There's not a lifeboat on the side.
So, and every detail of weight, of balance. Well, the balance engineers, the structural engineer, and the naval engineer have been working nonstop 6 months for this project. So every liter of water weighs. I think it's 8 times more on the third or fourth floor than on the first floor. So we can't change. But every change it costs a lot. So everything has to be perfectly planned.
Great. Annette, how about you? Any costs that keep you up at night?
What she said.
Laundry?
Laundry is an extraordinary piece. And I'm in the process right now of opening a second concept. And so we're in construction as we speak. And there is no doubt about it. Let's discuss for a moment water. You can get water anywhere.
Speaking of water.
That's not difficult at all. What it is to get water out of a space is where planning is of critical nature. So the place that we found to lease, we had to destroy the entire slab because the amount of drainage that we want to put in for both safety and just aesthetics in order so things don't look sloppy like your mom. Sorry, had to get one in there. That's for my people. So to get water out of a space requires a lot of drainage, and that means also MEP, mechanical, electrical, and plumbing, and that's expensive. And then people is the other big expense. Mm-hmm. I have found, unfortunately, I started with a very poor understanding of what it would cost me to get quality faces to my business. To get a quality face to the business requires a quality pay scale. And I know that sounds really obvious, and yet in Florida, $12 an hour is not uncommon. That's where people advise me to start, and I find that I'm now paying $18 to $20 an hour for my front desk folks. And for some of y'all, depending on what metropolitan area you're in, you're like, that's not a big deal. It's a significant jump in Florida. Mm-hmm. So these costs, like the right people in the right seats doing the right work, is why I also have to focus.
Mm-hmm. Thanks. And Kelly, how about you? What's unique about a mobile sauna cost?
I got a loan and I was like, okay. I always knew like cedar would probably be my biggest cost, but I wanted to use like pretty high quality materials because I knew that, or I didn't know, but I was hoping that I could convince the city of Hudson to let me put my saunas where they are, and I wanted them to be in public space, but I also in the back of my mind was like, if this doesn't work, I'm just gonna have to sell these to someone. So I was always like, okay, this might be my one shot. Like these are my two, baby things. And, but mostly, the initial cost of just like getting the trailers, building them with my friend, all the stove, and honestly the towels. But yeah, I don't have electricity, I just have running water. And so I don't pay a high fee for my rent right now in terms of just because of my agreement with the city and with other people as well. So my costs were pretty much my costs and have been because it's really just fire, water, steam. Very simple right now. I've thought about, I've worked on construction a lot, and I've project managed pretty big construction projects, like $1 million projects. And so I know how quickly that can balloon. And we're living in a really high cost of living time, as you're talking about. And so I definitely, for my starting wage with my workers too, was just I have to pay people at least $22 an hour. You're out in the elements. I was a farmer. I know how hard that is. And it's expensive to live right now. So I also was trying to keep that in mind, but definitely being in public space does help. Not only is it just I think a general public health and good thing for people to see, but I think it also helps me keep my costs low because it's very simple right now.
Got it. Well, for our last two questions, I want to step a little bit out of the day-to-day and the numbers. And I wanted to ask you all a question about the relationship between profit and purpose, because I think all of you were operating businesses, obviously, they need to be self-sustaining, but you're also operating places that are deeply embedded in the community, and obviously people in a community have differential ability to access a space like that. So how do you measure success beyond dollars and cents, beyond the P&L? And do you see a tension between driving impact and driving profit, or do you see them as kind of interconnected? So Kelly, why don't we stay with you and start on that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's like I just said, like it does cost to live. But I don't really, I think for me, I do think about when I was a farmer and like the pressures of success, meaning like this is how much you made, this is how much you sold. And I do think that that is a mental trap to make us feel unsafe or like heightened and competitive and can be and not nice to each other. And I do think about that as a farmer, like I would be like, oh no, we haven't sold enough this week. But we were actually like all hanging out, eating the best food. People were dropping stuff off. You know, we were like we were safe and fine. And I think that for me, that's sort of what I aspire to is like, am I okay? Like if I can go home and be in a warm space and eat a meal, I feel very good. But I do think that, you know, I want to have success to me looks like, I feel like I'm already feeling it, like people wanting to come back and wanting to spend time in the space that like I thought about, or helping me think about what the space is, because I really don't feel like it's always me dictating what the space is. And I feel like that's been the best thing, is that people are really like from all different kinds of people. Like I've had a BIPOC sauna, like where a group approached me. I've had like a queer, like I've had people approach me that want to take up space and be big. And I am really like, I think that that is successful for me.
So people being able to see themselves in the space and make it their own.
Yeah, because it's blank slate.
Yeah. Stephanie, how about you? How do you measure success?
Well, by the satisfaction of our clientele, and there are so many metrics now to see that. Some exist, and some we create. We do lots of surveys, and so obviously, and we find, and probably in the most of business, it's finding the perfect point where, well, satisfaction of clients is inversely related to the number of clients on site most of the time, so to a certain point. So it's finding the sweet spot between the number, the quality, the quantity of clients we have in site versus the quality we can offer. So finding this right spot. And another very reliable metric is our employees' happiness. So we have over 250 employees at Bota Bota. So the turnover is a very good metric. So it's a good metric, and it's also a very good way to make sure that we listen, we adapt, and we offer well-being to our clients that will be able to enhance our clients' experience. So they're all related.
Annette, how about you? The final word on this.
I would say I know myself, and I can elicit laughter in pretty much any room that I occupy for any length of time. So one of the greater points of success is me being outside the room and hearing other people's laughter, which means that they've made a connection and friendships have been formed and forged. And it's when I'm absent and the joy is still there. I know this sounds on some level a little egoic, and yet if I'm relying on me to be the catalyst always in every setting, I have failed, because I'm going to die and this thing must live. So that for me, and I do want to say, I cannot ignore profit, because it is the driver of the next step. So if I'm not, and I'm driving a Toyota, and it's going to stay that way for probably another 6 fucking years until the doors fall off. And it'll be 15 then. Great, no problem. However, I need the money to go to the next level of innovation, the next level of invitation, the next level of creativity, the next accommodation to the culture, and that requires cash. and I can't always get people to give it to me. So I might have to generate it my damn self. And so I think it also is a litmus of the volume. Like, this volume is extraordinary. 250 people working for you.
Yeah, I know.
Right? Like, oh God. So amen, sister, that you're not stabbing bitches in the neck. But because I'm over here praying on a continuum, like, not to be that. So, you know, profit is a litmus of, am I getting to the volume of people? Am I pricing correctly? It is a feedback loop for the mission, and it matters. So I am a socialist at heart, absolutely believe in a bunch of that, and capitalism is the system within which I work. I will dismantle it to the best of my ability through generosity, morality, joyful effort, all the things, and I will not ignore this litmus. So, and sometimes people will have accused me of, like, you're a yoga studio owner and it doesn't mean, brother, please, right? Like, I gotta pay the bills in order to create the next space, because I'm consistently also in Tampa asked, well, when are you going to open 40 miles away? So that person who is actually driving for an hour to get to my location doesn't have to drive anymore.
Well, this is a perfect segue to the last question. I wanted to end with a lightning round. What's coming next? Just a few sentences on the evolution of the vision. So let's start with Annette and go down the row.
Super quickly, I am opening a second concept called Revivery, and it's sauna and cold plunge alone, no accessories to it, just hot and cold, doing the damn thing, and training other people in the method that we've found to be so efficacious. So you will see revivery.co, shameless plug here, folks. We're doing instructor training or lead training so that people know how to guide and run the room in a way that is safe, trauma-informed, caring, and none of that is what we lead with, because that's second-order benefit, so it speaks to my first-order benefit. Please cross the threshold, become a better human being. You can start with deciding that you need to lose weight, and then the weight you lose is that you're an asshole when you shouldn't be.
The biggest weight of all. Stephanie?
At Bota Bota, we're working on this new boat, so it's an expansion to our operation. It should be ready for next summer, so it will add a capacity of 30-35% to our existing capacity, and it will include a big office. And at Bimondo, you can check it out, the consulting firm. We're working on very interesting project. It's such a dynamic industry. So we're working on hotels and Turks and Caicos. We have a native indigenous hotel with a spa. They're working in Quebec City. So we're trying to be very creative, bring innovation into new projects, and being inspired and bring wellness to different levels, and having different people taking care of each other in different contexts. So I think it's a very exciting period with what's happening everywhere. It's very difficult to control politics and everything around, so focus on what you can do good and what you can do to change people's lives, even if it's a few hours, and put them in a nice space when they can find heartwarming experiences and go on with their life from the door when they exit.
Thank you.
Hopefully I'll build another sauna. I'm not sure when or where yet. And then I really do want to have more food around. I just think the pairing of eating and relaxing is nothing better. So that's my goal.
Thank you. To eat, to have food.
Yeah.
Have
And
sustenance. So I'm actually going to ask you to hold your applause, because we have one final surprise for you. For those of you that follow Annette on Instagram, you'll have seen she has the most amazing collection of sauna hats I've ever seen. And she's brought a few of them to share and for us to model with, as well as Stephanie's favorite sauna hat, which she wanted to bring. So Annette, why don't you go and tell us a little bit about each hat, and then give each of our panelists a round of applause as they role model this incredible fashion.
So I'm very fortunate that people, I basically get dressed out of the lost and found in my own concept. And so the one thing that happens for me is people bring me hats. So my master's degree the thesis was on Walt Disney and Maleficent. And so her role as like a sexual individual that brought like power. You know, she had tits and lipstick and a staff. Don't know if you noticed, she had a staff with a bulb on the top of it. Just thought I'd bring that into your mind. And so someone brought me a Maleficent hat. This, of course, is other ship.
Well, it's my only hat, but I was very happy with the other ship somebody from here gifted me.
This is a friend of mine from South Africa came with this hat and gave it to me, so it feels appropriate to have Adam wear it.
Suits you very nicely.
And then someone was trying to make me sweeter with this one. They were like, you need to be more of a delicate flower. I was like, I'm keeping the B. Zzz. So this is Sauna Hat 101 for all y'all.
Thank you. So we're on the sauna bench together. There's about a minute left. Maybe we have time for one question or as many questions as Maggie will permit us to have. Thank you all so much. This was great.
Thank you.
Questions?
Who has a question?
I have a comment.
Please, Leonard.
You guys are great. Range the spectrum of from, I don't know, it's more my art.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Leonard. That means so much. Anyone else got a question or a comment?
Hi, TJ Woodbury from Tulsa. Congratulations to all of y'all for building amazing businesses. My question is for Kelly.
Yeah.
I really appreciate the work that you're doing at inclusivity. As a Black woman in the wellness space, I've not always felt wanted or welcomed. So if you could speak to if there were any challenges in conveying that message, like how did you convey the message that, hey, this is a space for everyone?
I mean, I guess on my Instagram, I try to show and market as many diverse bodies as I can and diverse people, which I'm lucky enough to have as friends. So they always volunteer for me in exchange for free sauna sessions. And, try to feature like, whether that be like Black femme or trans masc people in my videos and stuff. I've definitely gotten in trouble with Facebook and people have reported me, which I don't understand. But yeah, just trying to make that more visible. Of course, I think there's definitely a tension between letting that happen naturally and letting people approach you. I feel like that has sort of been, as a white woman, not something that I want to impose. So I've never, people are approaching me to sort of take up the space, and then I'm just there to facilitate and literally grab the firewood and be there. But yeah, I mean, on my website, I definitely make it clear we don't want race, class, or gender to be a barrier. And I think that's also shown in the physical space of design where, I mean, mine is such a small scale, but we have a dressing room trailer that has curtains for a dressing space if you want to be private, but then otherwise, everyone is just there. And I think that helps. I think design, function follows form, form follows function, but I think that you can signal to people this is not precious, you can touch this, you can sit on this, and just having other people that look like them be there is also helpful. I don't know. Yeah.
Do we have time for one more, Maggie? One more. Who else has a question for the panel?
Hello. Thank you all so much for chatting about this. My question is for Stephanie at Boda Boda. When you are putting your projects together with MEP and architecture and a naval engineer, who is spearheading your projects for your brand and managing all those people internally?
Well, we have quite a big managing team. So marketing director, operation team, general director, operation. So yes, we tend to split up, the higher managing team tend to split up when projects like this happen. But we have a very reliable, my sister is a operating general director. So she takes care of all the operation, and we have another partner that is more into the construction, and I'm more into the vision. So yeah, we make a good team. But it's of course there's rushes like we have now. And every day is very expensive, so every day that we lose is, yeah. We have the construction director says every week that passes, you throw a Porsche Macan into the St. Lawrence River, like. Really? What is a Porsche Macan? Well, the car. I'm like, oh, okay.
$120,000.
Yeah, that we lose. Okay, so let's not crash more cars, but it's a big challenge.
Well, thank you all so much for joining this conversation. You all look amazing. You all look amazing. And thank you to Glenn and Sauna Talk for helping us to share this conversation more widely.